Dominant, tall, thick mommy begging for you to notice her. But wait, there's not only one, there's two more. And we're in the Matrix? This manga is called Rengoku no Toshi, so if I see you ask about the name in the comments, I'll tell Gojo where you live.
Did you pray today? I'ma have to dig you down.
In Makoto's room, Yukiko is calling Makoto a beta male. But for what, you might ask? Well, Yukiko is trying to take his first time. She's jealous that he never pays attention to her because he's always looking at another girl. She says she wants Makoto to look at her as well, while she's taking off her shirt. My God, that stomach is making me feel... Sorry, what was I saying? Oh yeah. To understand how we got into this situation, let's rewind. It's morning, and Makoto hasn't gotten any sleep. He's rushing out the house to catch his train. The average Japanese sleep time is around 6 hours. Why is this relevant? Makoto is only able to sleep 1 hour each day because of the dreams he has every night. You may be thinking, he must be fighting demons or Gorlock the Destroyer in his dream. But no, he dreams of himself walking to Shinjuku Station, which is the most crowded one in Japan. As it goes on, the dream gets weirder and weirder. Makoto arrived at school. One of his friends handed him a love letter for him to give to his crush. Makoto can't be bothered to do it. His friend's name is Kashiwagi, and no, it's not. Makoto turns into David Goggins and tells Kashiwagi to give it to her himself, since it has his thoughts and feelings on it. So that he can sleep peacefully and have no regrets, Kashiwagi says he's right and thanks him. Makoto tells him to stay hard. He wonders why he would tell him of all people. Later, he meets up with Yukiko, you know, the hot chick from before. Anyway, we're introduced to another side character called Izumi. Makoto was telling them about Kashiwagi and started making fun of him because he's had a crush for 10 years, but is too scared to confess. Yukiko said that Ai has become really pretty since she started university. Izumo said that she's probably had 3 or 4 boyfriends till now, and Makoto became really jealous. Izumo said he was joking. If Makoto keeps waiting and doesn't tell her his feelings, then Ai arrives and apologizes that she's late, and says it was because her train was delayed, while Makoto started simping in her presence. Yukiko takes notice of this because he's blushing. Ai says it's hot and they should get to the karaoke already for air conditioning. As they're all about to leave, Ai asks Yukiko if she did her nails, and she says they look really cute while they're yapping. Makoto is thinking about how he can't be so indecisive about confessing his feelings to her. He thinks it's impossible. His heart feels like it stops just thinking about it. While in the karaoke room, Makoto is still thinking about how it's dumb that he gave love advice to someone, even though he has no experience with it himself. He's been in love with Ai for 10 years since primary school, and even followed her to university. He began thinking about what he said to Kashiwagi. He's in no position to say stuff like that to anybody, because in reality, he isn't a Giga Chad getting all the girls. He's a simp. He thought about whether he should write his own love letter, but realizes that he isn't living in a rom-com manga. He thought that maybe he could just use this time to sleep a bit more, even though all his friends came to hang out with him. Yukiko noticed that Makoto wasn't singing at all. She tells him to stop being a depressed little shit and enjoy the time he has with them, as there are not many other people that care about each other like they do. Yukiko tells him that if he doesn't make up his mind already and confess, Ai will get snatched away from him. They finished at the karaoke and wanted to go eat something, but Yukiko thought if he confessed and if Ai accepted, Makoto will just get snatched away from Yukiko. Lord, so help me. If Makoto doesn't choose one girl, I'll choose for him. Or better yet, just take both of them. After that event, they're back in school. Makoto has a bad headache because of his lack of sleep. Ai realizes this and tells him he doesn't look so well today. She asks him if he's gotten enough sleep recently. Makoto tells her he hasn't. She says to him that they should go to the hospital soon, but it is interrupted. Shaggy asks that I come with him for a moment. Makoto, watching this happen, is having negative thoughts about the whole thing. He's kind of jealous of him too, thinking about how he should be more like him if he gets muscles, and he wonders if his confession went well, and then he realizes that his face is red. Why he's so nervous, then it clicks in his head. Shaggy was going to ask Ai to be his girlfriend, and the more he thinks about it, the more he realizes that Ai is possibly going to get stolen from him. That's why Shaggy asked him, because he was her childhood friend. Makoto gets up and realizes how much of an idiot he is. I'm even sitting here thinking how the hell he held out for this long when reading this manga. Anyway, he finally realizes if things keep going on like this, Ai will get snatched away from him very soon, which is in a few more minutes. He dashes to go and find Ai before Shaggy makes Makoto start a new Giga Chad arc in the manga. In the middle of this, he wonders if it would even be worth it, as he's just fine seeing I every day anyway. My man sprints faster than me, finding out I let food burn in my kitchen. As this is happening, Shaggy is giving I the love letter. Makoto confesses to I, finally after 10 years. Seriously, you gotta be patient for something like that. But anyway, he's just interrupted another person's confession. Well, damn. He thinks that he's a very terrible person for doing something like that. Out of breath, he apologizes for being so sudden. I looks at him as if he killed somebody. She tells Makoto that he finally remembered, and asks Makoto to take him with her. Confused, he asks where. He has no clue what on earth she's talking about. Suddenly, her head gets desecrated. Makoto was having a what the fuck moment, and her whole body and limbs become dismembered, traumatizing me. And luckily, you guys are only seeing a blur. Trust me, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, you'd regret seeing it, and you'd probably dislike the video. He looks at the floor and screams, and all he sees is her flesh all over the floor. Makoto is confused and tries to call the ambulance. Trust me, Makoto, an ambulance ain't gonna help whatever in the Hogwarts happened here. Makoto looks up and sees a giant eye in the sky. I calls out to Makoto, asking if something is wrong, and he just sits there in silence, staring into her eyes. She repeats herself again. I repeats herself again once more with a worried look on her face. Makoto apologizes and says he'll see her later. She asks him to wait a second, while Shaggy and I both stare at Makoto, walking away. He'll probably have PTSD after that experience. We're in Makoto's house and he's vomiting in the toilet, questioning his sanity. Pause for a second. Whoever you guys are sticking your head into the toilet, possibly leaning your head onto the toilet seat, having an indirect booty cheek on your face. Please don't stick your face on the toilet seat. It's disgusting. Apparently, it's normal for him to have hallucinations like that. Makoto was at his limit for the day, so he thought he'd try to get some sleep. Well, whatever sleep he can get. As he's going up the stairs, someone rings the doorbell. Pissed off, Makoto walks to the door. He begins questioning whether or not it's another hallucination. He looks through the peephole. It's Yukiko. She's come because I was worried about her. Makoto complains about her being noisy. She says she thought he might have been asleep. Yukiko bought some beer with her for, Netflix and chill. Makoto kills the vibe and says they're still 19 because he's dense. She thought he'd say that, so she brought some cola as well and calls him a boring virgin, which I agree with. He tells her to get out. Yukiko and Makoto spend time together. She had won the 80th time. Makoto says, and yet you're still here intending that Yukiko leaves earlier, so he purposefully loses each game. He says he's sleepy. She says she came to cheer him up because she's sure that he got nauseous when confessing and ran before she could reply. He says, "You're horrible." He dismisses it and says it's not like he's going to be able to sleep much anyway. Yukiko asks if maybe it's because his environment has changed so much since high school. Makoto was unsure of it. Yukiko says she's kidding, but at least he can talk now. By the way, shout out to the artist for giving such amazing angles. They both sit on his bed. While I'm awaiting the Netflix and chill moment, Makoto was thinking about his failure since nothing has changed since that moment he confessed. Maybe Kashiwagi and I are dating already after his confession. You can read this page while I read her body. Oh, sorry, back to recapping. Yukiko tells Makoto he got a little impatient after she told her I would get snatched away from him, keeping his feelings deep inside the whole time because he's afraid of ruining it while getting closer to Makoto. Yukiko says it would be a good thing for her though, because it means Yukiko would have a chance. Oh shit, the Netflix and chill is starting. Prepare yourself, my warriors. It's still no nut November. She gets on top of Makoto, staring into his eyes, and asks him if he thought he was the only one running away from his feelings. She says if they both got together. Yukiko was planning on giving up on him. Makoto is still processing all of this at a slow 1 kilobyte download speed, which is basically really slow. Makoto is under a lot of pressure, so asks Yukiko to wait a second, making her almost cry when he says she's acting strangely. She asks him if she hates him that much, and says, aren't her jelly jams bigger? That can't be the issue. She grabbed his hand and put it on her big jelly jam. Makoto snatched his hand away and asks her, what the hell is she doing? Making her even more pissed off and sad. Honestly, Makoto, you're being too picky here. She asks him if he's done Netflix and chill before. Yukiko keeps pressuring Makoto into doing the workout session with her, telling him if he's really a man, he'll do it. Yukiko decided that she'd take his first time. Makoto, in disbelief, asks her if she's serious. Yukiko has never paid any attention to her at all, always looking at I instead of her. She wants him to look at her properly. Hardcore censoring is going to begin. If you want to see these uncensored pages, you're going to have to look them up. YouTube will hit me with the age restriction hammer if I show it, while taking off her shirt and and undoing her jelly jam cover, slowly putting the blanket over them, making me realize her amazing multitasking skills. Her jelly jam cover is off, introducing so much fan service. On her jelly jams covering the center, there's a bunch of notes. They say, "Don't, this city isn't real. They're watching us. Don't trust anyone. Shinjuku exists. Don't make a sound. If you want to save Ai, you need to listen to what I say. Because don't forget, we're still in the Matrix, but with a love triangle and fan service." Makoto asks himself, what the hell is going on? Concluding chapter 1. And yes, only chapter 1. There's so much that happens in this one chapter, it was hard not to include it all. Thank you for the support recently on my videos, it means a lot. If you'd like to read more of this manga again, it's called Rengoku no Toshi, or The City of Imprisoned Love. Want a part 2? Ask me in the comments.
地球の終わり。